Good evening. I'd like to call to order the regular City Commission meeting for the 10th day of September at 6 p.m. We will have a invocation by Pastor David Berry of the Mission of Winter Haven. We will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Vanessa Castillo, MMC City Clerk. Can I get a roll call, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Commissioner Dollison.
Here. Commissioner
Mercer. Here. Commissioner Dantzler.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Yates.
Here.
And Mayor Birdsong.
Here. Please stand if able.
Good evening. Father God, we thank you for tonight. We thank you for this opportunity to come together as a city to discuss the business of the city in your presence. Father, I lift up every city commissioner. I lift up their leadership. I ask that you grant them wisdom to lead and lead well. But I also lift up their families and their household to you, that you will provide for their every need on a personal level. It's not just about their public leadership, but it's their private life as well. Bless them coming and bless them going. And may everything that is accomplished tonight be for your glory and make this city even greater in the days ahead, because you love us, you love this city, and you love everything that's done here. So we give you the honor, we give you the glory tonight, and we turn this meeting over to you in your mighty name. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we have no presentations, no developments of note. Commissioners, you have the minutes.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
motion to approve the minutes of the August 20th, 2025 City Commission Agenda Review Session minutes.
Thank you. I will close the commission meeting, open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak to these minutes may do so at this time. Would you come forward, state your name and address for the record?
Do I need to be sworn in?
No,
Do
ma'am.
I need to be sworn in?
No, and what's your address? Are you, do you want to speak on the minutes?
Nope.
Okay,
No.
well then,
I just want to do the public comments when it's time.
okay, well, yes, you sign up. I'll call you up for that. All right, anyone else? Seeing none, we close the public hearing, reopen the city commission meeting. All those in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by the same sign. Hearing none, the minutes are adopted. Okay.
There you go.
I got one. The next item, state law requires the first substantive issue to be discussed at this hearing are name of the taxing authority, City of Winter Haven. Rollback rate is 6.2254 mills. The percentage increase in the millage over the rollback rate is 5.86%. Millage rate to be levied is 6.5900. The reason the ad valorem tax revenues are increasing, the ad valorem proceeds resulting from the difference between the proposed millage rate and the rollback rate will be used to offset increased operating costs and fund capital projects. All right. Ordinance first reading. City Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ordinance number O-25-28. I will read this in its entirety. An ordinance of the City of Winter Haven, Florida, adopting a millage rate to provide sufficient funds for projected expenditures of the 2025-2026 fiscal year budget of the City of Winter Haven, Florida, providing for severability and providing for an effective date. Whereas on Wednesday, September 10th, 2025, The city of Winter Haven held a public hearing as required by Florida Statute 200.065. And whereas a budget has been prepared estimating expenditures and revenues of the city for the ensuing year with detailed information, including revenues to be derived from sources other than ad valorem levy, and recommendations have been made as to the amount to be appropriated for the ensuing year. Whereas the city of Winter Haven strives to provide a level of service consistent with the expressed desires and demands of its citizens, and whereas it is necessary that taxpayers of Winter Haven also be willing to share the common expenditures of said services and to provide funds therefore. Now therefore be it enacted by the people of the city of Winter Haven, Florida as follows. Number one, the millage levy for fiscal year 2025-2026 is hereby set at a rate of 6.5900 mils. The millage rate of 6.5900 is a 5.86% higher than the rollback rate of 6.2254. If any word, sentence, clause, phrase, or provision of this ordinance for any reason is held to be unconstitutional, void, or invalid, the validity of the remainder of this ordinance shall not be affected thereby. This ordinance shall take effect on October 1st, 2025. Introduced on first reading this 10th day of September, 2025. Thank you.
Thank you. City Manager.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Commissioners. Florida statutes does require each taxing authority to annually set a millage rate for property taxation following required public hearings. City Commission set the proposed rate of 6.5900 mils at the July 23rd, 2025 City Commission meeting. The property appraiser used that information to prepare trim notices which were distributed in August. The millage rate must be established by ordinance and have a public hearing at each of the two readings of the ordinance. The first public hearing is scheduled for this evening, Wednesday, September 10th, 2025, and the second is scheduled for Monday, September 22nd, 2025. The 6.5900 mils ad valorem rate will generate $31,202,469 to the city's general fund at a collection rate of 96.50%. Staff recommends the City Commission approve Ordinance 025-28. Thank you.
Thank you. The second reading will be on September the 22nd. However, if anyone would like to speak to this ordinance, you may do so at this time.
And Mr. Mayor, you will vote on this tonight like you have in the past to move it forward for second reading.
Entertain a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
motion to approve ordinance O-25-28, adopting the millage rate for fiscal year 2025 and 2026.
Thank you. I will close the commission meeting, open public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak to 025-28 may do so at this time. Seeing none, close the public hearing. We open the commission meeting. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposes by the same sign. Hearing none. The millage rate is adopted on first reading. Ordinance 025-29, which read by title only, City Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And if you indulge me, I'll read it.
You gonna read it in its
in its
entirety?
entirety. Thank you.
All
Ordinance
right,
number.
go ahead.
Thank you. Ordinance number O-25-29, an ordinance making appropriations of funds for defraying the expenses of the municipal government of the city of Winter Haven for fiscal year 2025-2026, adopting the budget of the city of Winter Haven, Florida fiscal year commencing October 1, 2025 is the official budget of the city of Winter Haven, Florida, fiscal year 2025-2026, providing for severability and providing an effective date. Whereas Florida statutes require each taxing authority to annually adopt tentative and final budgets, and whereas the city of Winter Haven has held workshops and commission meetings regarding the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget, and whereas estimates have been made by the city manager of the city of Winter Haven as presented in the budget of the city of Winter Haven, Florida fiscal year commencing October 1, 2025, showing that the sum of $216,326,606 will be required for defraying the expenses of maintaining the government of the city of Winter Haven, Florida for the fiscal year 2025-2026. And whereas the budget of the city of Winter Haven, Florida fiscal year commencing October 1, 2025 anticipates sufficient revenues to fund projected expenditures of $216,326,606. Now therefore be it enacted by the people of the city of Winter Haven, Florida as follows. Number one, the sum of $216,326,606 is hereby appropriated out of all of the various revenues accruing to the city of Winter Haven and set aside for the purpose of paying the expenses of and maintaining the government of the city of Winter Haven for fiscal year 2025-2026. Number two, the budget of the city of Winter Haven, Florida, fiscal year commencing October 1, 2025, on file in the office of the city clerk, is hereby adopted by reference as the official budget of the city of Winter Haven, Florida, for fiscal year 2025-2026. Number three, if any word, sentence, clause, phrase, or provision of this ordinance for any reason is held to be unconstitutional, void, or invalid, the validity of the remainder of this ordinance shall not be affected thereby. It is the intention of the City Commission that section of this ordinance may be renumbered or relettered, and the word ordinance may be changed to chapter, section, article, or such other appropriate word or phrase in order to accomplish such intentions, and that section of this ordinance may be renumbered or relettered, and the correction of typographical or scrivener's errors which do not affect the intent may be authorized by the city manager or his designee without need of public hearing by filing a corrected or codified copy of same with the city clerk. Number five, this ordinance shall take effect on October 1st, 2025, introduced on first reading this 10th day of September, 2025. Thank you.
Thank you. City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. I'm going to go through the fact sheet. I also would like to go back through portions of the original budget presentation for the benefit of those that are in the audience and will watch on those that will watch online as well. As noted, Florida statutes does require each taxing authority to annually adopt a tentative and final budget. The law also requires the local government hold a public hearing prior to the adoption of each of those budgets. The city will advertise the adoption of the final budget and the notice of tax increase prior to the second public hearing in accordance with state law. Second and final hearing will be held Monday, September 22nd. Tentative budget has been prepared based on city needs and commission directives authorized at the budget workshop held on Wednesday, July 23rd, 2025. Those directives included the adoption of the current millage rate of 6.5900 mils. The budget has been prepared in compliance with the city's policies and requirements and appropriate state statutes. At this point, I'd like to go through some of the high points from the two budget presentations that were offered in July and in August. Again, the City of Winter Haven's budget is built around the strategic plan that was adopted by the City Commission in July of 2024 and focuses on the 6 pillars that are reflected here. There are a number of items that speak to each of these. Some of those include park enhancements, continued funding for affordable housing. Under community safety, the development of Fire Station 5, the addition of additional police and firefighters. In the case of infrastructure, continuing water sewer upgrades throughout that system, implementing a variety of complete street programs and projects. In the area of responsible government, the deployment of the OpenGov budgeting platform, as well as a continuation of a strong fund balance for the general fund. In the area of environmental stewardship, one of the biggest projects moving forward within this budget is the acquisition of the Astute Financial Property on North US 17. And in the area of economic sustainability, some of the efforts include partnering with Heart for Winter Haven to fund the CDFI program that they're putting together, as well as the city's development of a rail spur to further contribute to economic investment at the industrial park. Next slide. The budget highlights. You heard within the ordinance the notation of a budget totaling $216,326,606. That is the city's budget once internal transfers from one department to another are canceled out. We don't spend that money twice. For comparison purposes, budget year to budget year, the 25-26 budget is $250,280,102. Again, what's actually being spent is the 216, but when you transfer money, say, from the general fund to the airport fund, you only count that once. This 250 reflects the expenditures in both of those different areas as an example. The budget is balanced at a current millage rate of 6.59. We'll note that this year's budget is $45.9 million less than it was for fiscal year 24-25. That is a 15.5% reduction in total expenses. Gross taxable property values in Winter Haven this past year increased by 12.3%. Almost all of that increase is associated with new construction that was completed and is now on the tax rolls. The estimated ad valorem revenues increased by $3.4 million, bringing in general fund total revenues from ad valorem to $31,202,469. City continues to support efforts to increase affordable housing, and this budget includes a general fund contribution to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund of $250,000. Budget also contemplates a market adjustment that was based off of a market compensation study completed this past spring. And with the adoption of the budget, the city will have 766 total positions funded. Of those, 653 full-time, 113 part-time. That is inclusive of 23 new full-time and 6 new part-time positions. In comparison to millage rates throughout the county, this chart has been updated now that trim notices have been filed for all of our adjacent cities here in Polk County. We remain unchanged, still at number 8 in the overall scheme of things. That's the lower half of millage rates throughout the county. There are 3 entities within Polk County that have issued a trim notice suggesting a higher millage rate, although that is yet to be determined until they have their budget hearings, and 1 municipality that lowered theirs being Hillcrest Heights. Next slide. City continues to work through partnerships. Our community partners remain funded. As you see within the chart there, Polk Vision, Main Street, Winter Haven, the Chamber of Commerce, and the Economic Development Council. We have the remaining, the continuation of 3 service delivery partners, with the addition of a 4th one being Polk County, Keep Polk County Beautiful. And then our externally contracted services that are of significant value, the Winter Haven Area Mass Transit Program that we have. The city contributes about $294,000 for the bus service here in Winter Haven. That is the same amount as in the prior year. And our continued efforts with Heart for Winter Haven to implement homeless mitigation initiatives through a variety of different means. And they have worked with us for the past several years to implement that. Nonprofit organizations are included in the budget. This is your grant and aid program. $347,000 goes out to different nonprofit organizations throughout our community that help deliver services that the city does not directly provide. There were 44 agencies that were recommended for approval this past June after that grant and aid process completed, and that was approved by the commission to include within the budget at a meeting in June. When we look at how the city spends its money throughout the entire organization, you can see that about 29% of the expenses are tied to capital. Those are one-time expenses associated with everything from vehicle acquisitions, police cruisers, fire trucks, garbage trucks, all the way up through capital construction that is sticks and bricks, such as a new fire station, advancements within our water and sewer infrastructure, improvements at the airport. That's what falls within capital. That is down significantly from the year prior. So I mentioned we have a drop of almost $50 million in our budget year over year. Last year's capital investment in Winter Haven's infrastructure and assets was about $133 million. So those are one-time projects, specifically like the Winter Haven Recreation and Cultural Center, the Lake Elbert Trail, Channel Lakes Park Phase 2. Once those dollars are spent, they don't reoccur. So we were able to knock out a lot last year. So that number comes down this year. Personnel makes up about, if you go back, please, personnel makes up about 26% of our total expense, and operating about 24.6%. In the general fund, we've had a lot of talk about ad valorem taxes and what is a point of interest at the state legislative level. Ad valorem taxes in the general fund account for just over 40% of the city's total revenues. You can see that the total revenue budget within the general fund is a little over $78 million. There are state shared revenues within there. There are utility service taxes, franchise taxes, local option gas tax, fees that are paid for participation and use in parks and recreation, interest earnings, federal shared revenues, fines and forfeitures, and then all the way down through our state grants. If we look within the general fund, specifically at how dollars are spent in terms of actual departments, the police department and the fire department, and that also includes our safe neighborhoods, those combine for a total expense of about $34.8 million. Again, I hearken back to the point that I make routinely about ad valorem tax revenues. Those generate about $31 million or $31.5 million. So that is less than what it actually costs to operate our police and fire department alone. So that is why that continues to be a strong point for us in our discussions with our legislators in Tallahassee. The remainder of the departments, and this is everything just within the general fund, you can see how dollars are distributed based upon the revenues received. City is self-insured, and I've explained this at length with the commission in the past, but you can see our estimated cost for our self-insurance fund for 2025 calendar year. It is estimated at $8.9 million. That has risen about $900,000 over the prior year and about $2.5 million over 2023. One or two significant medical claims can have a drastic impact on that self-insurance fund. And we have included within our budget a number of different initiatives and efforts to increase overall health and wellness of our workforce. Employee pensions are performing well within the general employee pension plan, and this is a closed plan, meaning that no new members can join it. It is, we still have a number of employees that are involved in this. We made the change away from the general employee pension plan in 2017. The city's contribution as a percentage of payroll for the general employee plan this year has dropped by about 2 percentage points to be 35.9%. It is the plan funded ratio is at about 82.3%, and it continues to outperform its assumption. What it's actually earning through the investments is performing better than what the plan assumes would be the performance. In the police pension, the firefighter pension is next. They had a slight increase in their contribution as percentage of payroll from 34.68 up to 35.81%. Their plan funded ratio bettered itself as well at 84%, and they are also outperforming the assumption in terms of their investments. And finally, the police pension plan, this has the lowest contribution of the three plans in terms of percentage of payroll at 15.2%. It is funded at 85.8%, and like the others, investments performed strong over the past year. In terms of compensation, we presented to the commission back in July the need to make some corrections to some pay grades, putting certain positions in proper pay grades in comparison to like positions within the local labor market. These 19 positions were reclassified based upon approval that was granted by the City Commission in July. That took place the 1st of August. So those have all been adjusted and are, all those positions now are within the proper pay grade. That had a very minimal impact, a couple $1,000s at best in total in the fiscal year 24-25 budget. But it prepared us for when we look at additional adjustments as proposed for the fiscal year 25-26 year. The budget as presented does contemplate an effort to align the city more so with what the market research performed by our consultant revealed. That research did show that on average, the city was about 5.5% below the local labor market, looking at all of our positions. That doesn't mean that every position was in that situation. Some were well below that, some were above that. But based upon the data that we received in our assessment of that, we have recommended and included in the budget a 5% adjustment to the base salary of all positions. The $16.80 per hour that you see on the screen, that is reflective of our lowest entry-level position. At present time, those positions are at $16. Come October 1st, they would go to $16.80. Those are vacant seats that we have. All other positions where we have an incumbent in that role, those employees would see a 6% adjustment come October 1st. and that is factored within the budget as presented and balanced. I mentioned new positions that were added, 3 new police officers. And I'm just going to highlight the full-time positions because that's where the greatest impact is. So 3 new full-time positions within the police, our law enforcement officers, 4 new firefighters that would come on mid-year, a new maintenance operator within Parks and Recreation, as well as a recreation manager. Within our IT operations, Smart City data analyst, a business technology support specialist, and a Smart City computer engineer. As I've discussed many times, every employee has an email account, has access to a computer, the multitude of laptops and iPads and cell phones and technology tools. We have one of the smallest IT departments given the size of the organization and the amount of equipment that is used. Within the building division, again, building division funds can only be spent on building division operational costs. We are adding 1 building division customer service representative, 2 permit specialists, and 1 permit specialist supervisor. And then within the water department, a fiscal manager, 2 utility servicers, and 1 community service representative, 1 additional full-time mechanic within our fleet operations, and 2 additional driver collectors within our solid waste. So as you can see at the bottom, it's a total of 23 new full-time positions, 6 new part-time positions added to the overall organization. Within the general fund, and this will go quickly, this is just a year-by-year comparison. General fund increases by $2 million, which equates to about 2.5% year over year in our operations within the general fund. General fund balance, this is your reserves, your rainy day fund, your emergency relief valve in the event that we experience a natural disaster, a significant economic turn for the worst, or something that has a direct impact on revenues. City has a requirement to maintain 17% of their general fund operational expenses within that fund balance, and a target goal of 30%. We anticipate that our general fund balance will actually be at 31%, which yields an excess of $641,403. At some point later in the fiscal year, we'll come back and whatever that number is at that time, recommend that that be transferred to the construction fund to help offset capital expenses. I will tell you that we just last week had a ratings call with Fitch, is one of our rating agencies. They do this every year. Either S&P or Fitch comes and does a review of where we stand. This is one of those things that they look at to help ensure that we're managing finances responsibly. We have not received the final report of the Fitch ratings, but we anticipate that it will remain strong and very positive as it has for the past 2 years, and we'll present that to you at an upcoming meeting. Major investments within the general fund, new police vehicles. We're replacing a number of vehicles that are slated for replacement this coming fiscal year. Within the fire department, the Draeger SCBA communication system, that is a comm system that they use when they have their air packs on, some thermal imaging cameras. Within parks and grounds, contractual services to help maintain our rights of way in parks, improvements at Girl Scout Park, continuation of our work with the Department of Corrections for support crews from them, and then some replacement of vehicles as well as improvements at the Lake Hartridge dock. In Parks Administration, modernization of Lions Park as well as a comprehensive emergency management plan for Parks and Recreation, new covers for Rowdy Gaines Pool, interior upgrades to the Senior Adult Center. Exterior painting is one of the most significant expenses in the general fund for the field house. That facility is now over 5 years old, and certainly we see the wear and tear on the exterior of that building. Resurfacing of the hard courts at the tennis facility, and then some assets for the Winter Haven Recreation Cultural Center in anticipation of that new facility opening up. Leisure service rental facilities, improvements to Rotary Park, HVAC and flooring, improvements at the Women's Club. At Diamondplex, we are improving HVAC systems, also installing new safety netting at Sertoma Park. Within planning studies and applications, we set money aside for that. We also have to have a consultant surveyor on hand to review our plats. That is what that fee is specific to. And then within streets, you can see a number of different things specific to like the ADA transition plan, timing analysis and signal timing studies along First Street, traffic cabinets. They will also be engaging in a comprehensive emergency management plan. Special funds within your budget include starting off the airport. Airport, you can see dropped significantly by about $5.6 million year over year. That is all tied back to capital. So they had a large number of capital projects last year. This year, those are much fewer, hence the drop in their budget overall. Their operating revenues or their other revenues that come in also include the grant dollars that they get from FAA and FDOT. I will say, when it comes to capital projects at the airport, for every dollar that is spent on a capital project, the city's portion of that dollar is about 14 to 15 cents. The balance of that is coming mostly from FAA and the rest of it from FDOT. Library has an increase this year in other revenues. You can see that increases from about $796,000 up to $1.1 million. That is tied specifically to county dollars that will come to the city with the opening of the new branch library at the Winter Haven Recreation and Cultural Center. Even with the addition of that new facility and the staffing that will be associated with it, the library budget increases by only 14% by adding a whole nother facility to it. Cemetery operations increased by about 8.5% year over year. There are a number of projects that involve road work within our cemeteries that contribute to that, and you can see that within the capital. They have about $100,000 increase in their capital expenses. CRAs, you've had a number of discussions with your CRA advisory committees, also serving as the CRA board. Both CRA districts, the downtown and the Florence Villa, are performing well. As you'll note at the bottom, the downtown CRA valuation increased by about 9.6%. Florence Villa CRA increased by about 15.5%. The largest contributor to the Florence Villa CRA increase would be the Florence Place housing facility. When that came online, that is a taxable property. So that yields greater dollars for them to be able to reinvest back into the immediate community. Construction funds, significant items that we partition out within the construction fund. Continued improvements at Chain of Lakes Park for additional parking that would include 358 more parking spaces. City Attorney and Andy Palmer and others are working now on an interlocal agreement with Polk County and an amendment to the existing one that will contribute about $600,000 from the county towards that $1.2 million. Improvements at Diamondplex that mostly speak to lighting improvements at this point. The construction of Fire Station 5 at Lake Hartridge Park. Renovation of the northern portion of the City Hall Annex. That is funded through the building division and will house the building division as a new main hub for them. And then the continuation of the playground replacement program. Transportation fund. The 3rd Street Northwest Complete Street Project directly in front of City Hall, extending from Avenue D all the way down to MLK Park. $2 million set aside for roadway improvements in our TIP, or Transportation Improvement Program. Design studies along 6th Street Southwest, 8th Street Northwest, 8th Street Southwest, Old Helena Road, and railway improvements as well. Sidewalk improvements to fill gaps. And then we also, you see, have money in there for our quiet zones. We are in the final stages of getting that ready to roll, so that exists within the transportation fund. Your proprietary funds, these are the funds that operate as a business. The first one being our water fund. So again, this is a recap of where we stand with our use costs for our water and sewer. Those will increase effective October 1st. You can see where we stand at present time based upon a 5,000 gallon per month consumption. Presently, that rate is at that bill for the month would be $58.38. After the new rates take effect, it goes up to $61.77. Still remains the third lowest of all water providers here in Polk County. Connection fees, we did this again last year. It took effect January 1st of this year. And this is the cost for new development to pay their fair share of what it costs to develop a home in Winter Haven to cover the impacts on our water and sewer services. This is to place that impact back on the new construction and not on existing residents. We do have, at present time, the highest connection fees for water and wastewater within Polk County. That has not slowed down development in Polk County in the Winter Haven area to any noticeable level. Utility revenues, we do include in the budget consideration for borrowing associated with some of the major capital projects. We have preliminarily factored that in at a borrowing of about $24 million. We will bring back to you a proposal that will likely be greater than that. These debts that we incur within the utility fund are paid down through water sewer charges. That doesn't cause us to change what we presented in August of last year in any way. In fact, those fees had contemplated borrowing close to $200 million for utility projects through the CIP over a number of years. But our anticipation is we will do that in smaller bites going forward. But the revenues to pay off that debt are already contemplated in the schedule of water and sewer fee increases over the 5-year window of that study. You can also see water sales and sewer charges make up collectively about 24% of the revenues that come into the utility fund. Expenditures within the utility fund, biggest area is capital. So you've got a lot of capital projects that are lined up within utilities, a lot of those within the Bradco Farms project and the new utilities campus that will be housed there, as well as significant improvements at Wastewater Treatment Plant 3 and Wastewater Treatment Plant 2. And I'll talk more of those in just a moment. Operations account for about 22% of the budget within utilities, and personnel about 12%. I share this slide simply to show that when where we spend money within the water department, it is a very large department. It is a very diverse department. You can see that wastewater treatment, which is highly regulated, very complicated work, that accounts for about 20% of our budget. Engineering, which is, again, that new facility to be built at Bradco Farms, about 20%. Non-departmental expenses include transfer from the utility fund into the general fund, debt service that they're required to pay, fees that they pay to other departments for services that are provided back to the water department, wastewater collection, that's our lift station program, water treatment, obviously the distribution, the processing and treatment of our potable water, followed by the distribution, all the way down through customer service, which is the people handling the accounts. But that's an important slide to me because it just illustrates the diversity of what happens within our utilities operation. Major efforts within, or major projects within the utility budget, ground storage tanks at the water plant, about $2 million worth of repairs to those. Wastewater treatment plant 2 reclaimed storage tank repairs, about $835,000. Aeration basin repairs at plant 3. Improvements to and upgrades to the Fieldhouse master lift station. Ongoing lift station rehabilitation throughout the system. Sewer slip lining. And then there's a variety of vehicles and major pieces of equipment that will be replaced. But these are just some of the more significant things that are outlined within the detailed budget. The capital investment program within utilities, again, just illustrating that those capital investments aren't specific to just one area. They touch everything from the main campus that houses our operations to our wastewater plants, our water plants, our reclaim system, the collection systems, the distribution systems, AMI metering and those types of things. All those combined make up about $39 million worth of capital projects in next year's budget specific to utilities. Willowbrook is another proprietary fund. We're doing a lot of improvements at Willowbrook right now. We look forward to opening that facility back up in the next probably 2 months. And you can see that the biggest change in theirs is the capital. So that $2.4 million of capital that we had to invest in the course in 24-25 does not repeat in 25-26. Solid waste is, there's not a whole lot of capital that goes into solid waste other than through the acquisition of vehicles, which they will do so. We are not doing anything significant with our solid waste rates going into this year. They will increase by 2.5% per the existing ordinance. The county has raised significantly the landfill disposal charges for municipalities. We will be studying that in fiscal year 25-26 and come back with any fee changes that may need to be considered for future budget years in response to that. Stormwater, again, a lot of capital projects last year, particularly with Lake Elbert Trail, significant improvements in stormwater around that facility with the new roadway and trail system. Next year, they have investments into South Lake Howard Nature Park, the expansion of that facility. But overall, a very small decrease in their budget year over year. One of the things that Winter Haven did in 2018 was the last time that the city actually increased taxes, millage rates. They were increased by 1 mil that year, specifically with the commitment that those dollars yielded from that 1 mil could only be spent on capital investment. They cannot go towards salaries. They cannot go towards operations. It has to be one-time expenses tied to capital investment. For fiscal year 26, that 1 mil is supporting the Transportation Improvement Fund. That is the repaving of roads. It helps support the playground replacement program, where we have playgrounds that have aged out and need to be repaired or replaced. It goes towards the renovations at the Diamondplex facility with the lighting that I had mentioned, and also a small contribution towards Fire Station 5. You will note we do have some of those projects mapped out for fiscal year 27 and 28. However, you look at the bottom of this slide, the unallocated balance, we'll have roughly $20,000 next year to be appropriated towards capital projects yet to be determined by the commission. And in fiscal year 28, about $1.7 million to be appropriated by the commission. So to recap, total budget of $250,280,102. It is a balanced budget as required by state law, and it is balanced based upon the existing unchanged millage rate of 6.59 mils. Taxable values in Winter Haven increased by 12.3% to a total taxable value of $5.35 billion. The estimated ad valorem revenues increased by about $3.4 million. Again, most of the increase that we see in property values, taxable property values, is associated with new construction that has come onto the tax rolls for this coming year. City's commitment to affordable housing remains intact. We do have a RFA, a request for application out, is advertised right now for entities that are looking to develop affordable housing opportunities here in Winter Haven. We include our continuation of our STEP program for our employees, as well as the market adjustment, as I had discussed, and we result with a total number of budgeted positions of 766. That is a very condensed version of roughly 4 to 5 hours of budget presentations that you have sat through. I think that the staff has done a good job of responding to what's a priority to the commission, what's outlined within the strategic plan. I do want to just take a personal point of pride and thank our finance department. CJ Scott and her team have done a phenomenal job pulling this together, our HR staff, and assessing where we truly needed to make adjustments and implement new strategies related to staffing in our self-insurance program. All of our department directors, and without, certainly last but not least, the City Commission for the direction that you have given us in how to prepare this budget. One of the things that I'm excited about, and I think we've shared this with you, we did transition at this point to the OpenGov budgeting platform, which is going to give our residents even greater access to the budget via our website. I believe at the dais, you all have a preliminary print, an initial print of the budget. That is what is also reflected online. It is very navigable. It is easy to read, easy to find what people are looking for. There are some minor adjustments we need to make within that don't affect the numbers in any way, just some of the formatting and layout, and that will be updated seamlessly within the website as well. So with that, my final comment to the commission is that staff does recommend the City Commission approve Ordinance O25-29 on first reading. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
make a motion for approval on first reading and public hearing.
All right. I will now close the commission meeting, open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak to O25-29 may do so at this time. Seeing none, close the public hearing, reopen the city commission meeting. Is there any discussion, comments?
Couple questions real quick.
Yes.
AJ, are you running the slides or did you go to, I think it was slide 7. Just want to ask CJ a quick question. On the debt service item down there, that's 4.5% of our, is that 4.5% debt service on the total budget or just general fund, or what would that number be? Do you know?
Yeah, debt service, that would be total.
That's inclusive of your water and sewer debt as well as any within the general fund and SRF funds.
So that includes water and sewer as well? We'll go to page 36. That was my next question. Or 37, I'm not sure. I can't remember. That shows 5.34% in the total utility. So that's 4.8 million and the other one was
11.
11 million. So you're saying this 4.8 is folded into that 11 million?
Yes, sir.
So go back to page 7 again, AJ. Just want to make sure I'm clear on that. So our total budget, 4.5% of it is debt service. On everything, the whole thing. Okay. Well, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. So I just want to make sure I completely understand that. I don't feel like we're spending too much on debt service. So that's me personally, but I just want to make sure I completely understood how it worked in with utilities. So I'm okay with that number.
And Commissioner Dancer, if I could just add just a further point on that, keep in mind that with the borrowing that was done for the field house, as well as debt service on the baseball fields, the county is contributing a portion of that debt service to us. So there's a revenue source that's tied back to that as well.
It's not part of that 4.5.
It's that is included within that. But there's a revenue that comes to us from Polk County Board of County Commissioners for their portion of the debt service for the duration of those debt.
be considered credits against.
So without that, it would be greater than 4.5%.
Well, what you would have less, you'd have to have revenue. You wouldn't have the revenue side to offset it. So you'd probably be doing something less in one of those other areas. So it would likely go up. Yes.
It doesn't move the needle though, because we're not getting that much compared to just a budget this size, but it moved some.
Yep.
But that's okay. I'm just trying to let everybody know, and for my own edification, 4.5% debt service is not hateful. So 11 million bucks on a $250 million budget's not too bad. So that's good. I'm good.
Anyone else?
It's nothing we can solve tonight, but it infuriates me that when I hear counties increasing fees for municipalities and our residents are paying a millage rate to the county for services, that just infuriates me. So I'll throw that out there. Not that we're doing anything tonight, not that we can do anything tonight about it, but Governor DeSantis, if you want to come down and take a look at that, that's something to look at, in my opinion.
Anyone else? All those in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposes by the same sign. Hearing none. The budget passes on first reading. We will have a second reading on September the 22nd. Commissioners, you have the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, comments from the audience, I believe.
Am I missing it?
We have a little different agenda format because of the budget.
I didn't see it.
At the top.
It's right at the top of
Item 10.
Yeah, 10.
Oh, we have, now is the time for you to come forward. Betty Hoffman, state your name and address for the record, and you'll have 5 minutes.
My name is Betty Hoffman, and I live on US 17 in Winter Haven, Florida, for 6 years. I want to commend you for what you have done. I appreciate Mr. Dantzler. He looks at stuff and goes into it and explains it. Sometimes it's easy for people in the audience to understand, and I appreciate that, and I wish you well on your retirement. And I'm not here to complain about anybody, but I do have a complaint and a suggestion. Though I have attended recent commission meetings, I hope you have all been well and been blessed. I'm expressing serious concerns about the ongoing issues at Spring Lake Plaza on US 17th and Havendale. Despite numerous 40-plus violations, there has been little visible progress. I have seen some activity over at Floridino's, and I appreciate that, if it's you. The situation demands action, not delay. The debris left behind at the former Floridino sites is a hazard, especially with hurricane season approaching. I urge the city to prioritize its demolition immediately. The garbage collection area, which I wish would be tore down with the restaurant, which has become an unsanitary encampment for the homeless, must also be addressed. This is a public health issue and affects the dignity of our community. I have attended many code violation hearings and witnessed a troubling pattern. When Brand is a repeat offender that faces minimal consequences, they've been given numerous timelines to comply when they did not. They are rewarded with massive fine reductions, sometimes up to 90%. Why do Landmark and Windbrand, who are repeat violators, continue to disregard the rules, yet they benefit from leniency? Why are we rewarding noncompliance? The system is lacking accountability. Code enforcement must be empowered to impose the meaningful penalties. Taxpayers should not be subsidized for the bad behavior of developers flaunting the law. I'm not being derogatory to the people that work in code enforcement. I have children that have worked for many cities in Florida. I want to say that just to make sure that I'm not being derogatory. But, you know, when someone gets 90% reduction and then you have to do their work on repeat offenders, you know, that doesn't set well with me, and I don't think anybody else sitting here, that our tax dollars is being spent on somebody else's not doing their job. The system lacks accountability. Code enforcement must be empowered to impose these meaningful things, flaws of the law. Scarecrow, Windbrand, and Steve Adams, who previously proposed building 268 apartments, have a history of misleading the city. They submit false traffic studies, have made inaccurate claims about site conditions, including non-existent trusses and $90,000 of HVAC systems just to delay the enforcement. These tactics erode the public trust. When I raised concerns about the traffic on the US 17 for the apartments, I was told to support the apartment project so the city would impose stricter restrictions elsewhere in the mall. This is not fair, transparent approach. We should not be negotiating with developers who misrepresent facts and manipulate the system. Many of these individuals live in waterfront homes in Winter Haven, Clearwater, and along the coast. They have money, influence, and legal teams. They sue others or are being sued. They delay payments to contractors until forced by the courts to pay those for their work that they have done. Is this the kind of leadership we want shaping our future city, our city's future? I urge you to revisit and revise your code enforcement policies. The current system punishes taxpayers by rewarding violators. Let's restore integrity, enforce the rules consistently, and protect the community we all call home. Thank you for your time and attention, and many others. I hope to see a bulldozer near my neighborhood soon. I just got one line to go.
Go ahead.
Are semis permitted to be parked behind the stores at Spring Lake Plaza? If not, I asked that the issue would be addressed promptly. But there's two semis that have been sitting back there that look fairly new, and one has a landmark sticker on it out of Indiana. So thank you for your time, and thank you for your hard work. And I love our city, and I like you guys for the way you manage our city.
Thank you. Even though nobody else signed up, if there's someone that would like to address the commission, you can do so at this time. All right. We'll move right along.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
can I ask for staff possibly if we could just, it's been several months since we've done code. I remember we passed some certain things for that plaza several months back. I can't remember exactly how many now, but maybe we could get an update at the next agenda review meeting of where we came from, where we are today.
Yeah, and I can just certainly do that. I will tell you that we had a special code hearing last Thursday, I believe it was, regarding specifically the Floridinos property. I can tell you that there's been an asbestos survey done on that property, which you have to do before you do demolition, that the utility turnoffs and disconnects that are required before you can pull a permit have been initiated. Don't know as of this point in time if that permit has actually been pulled for the demo work, but that demolition is moving forward. But we'll get a full update on what the overall remaining issues on Spring Lake Square are and present that back to the commission.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, commissioners, you have the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
motion to approve the consent agenda in its entirety.
Thank you. I'll close the commission meeting, open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak to any item on the consent agenda may do so at this time. Seeing none, close the public hearing, reopen the commission meeting. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
two quick questions. On item number 12D, this has to do with the tennis center and Hurricane Milton. I received an email this week, and I hate to admit it, but I can't remember what it was about. Did anybody else get that? There was a lady who had a concern about this. And I've got a good memory, but I can't remember what her complaint was. Nobody else got it? Okay, she must have sent it to me. Well, I'll bring it up at another point because I cannot remember. And then the other thing has to do with 12E, the bid construction change order. Would you just explain that to me again real quick, T, how we came up with those numbers?
Certainly. Let me go through the actual fact sheet if I can. So in 2023, November of 2023, the city entered into 5 contracts with different firms for general contracting services. These are ongoing contracts when we need repairs within our facilities, we have somebody on staff or under contract that we can call upon to do those. After repairs needed from the impacts of Hurricane Milton in 2024, as well as additional work from the city, Whitehead Construction was issued a change order to their initial purchase order in the amount of $500,000. So when we have damage that's, of the number of facilities, airport hangars, different issues at a water plant or at this building, we call upon our general contractors that are under continuing contract with us to do that work. That was what was done following damage from Milton. So the change order amount to their original purchase order accounts for current budget year anticipated work, Hurricane Milton unanticipated repairs, as well as any remaining needs that we would experience before September 30th of this year, this fiscal year. So we issue out an initial purchase order based upon what we think our needs are going to be, and then we adjust that throughout the year. Though anything is done within that PO that's specific to, say it's in the utilities department or the water department, they actually pay that from that specific department who has ownership of the asset, but it is part of the overall purchase order with that general contractor.
So they initially bid a 500,000 or 100,000?
They don't bid, their bids are based upon an hourly rate. If it's a foreman, a laborer, the type of work that's being done. And then for each project that you would do, say you're renovating a small office, they would do a task proposal for that. And we assign that under that existing purchase order. So you're setting a purchase order that says, okay, here's to establish an open PO for us to assign work. Work is assigned based upon a task as needed. In this case, with the repairs post Hurricane Milton, we have them go and as we identify what needs to be done, and it was a variety of different projects to account for that.
So it went to 700,000 for Hurricane Milton predominantly.
Inclusive of, most of that is within Hurricane Milton repairs.
Did we get any FEMA money back on that, or
FEMA money,
Yeah.
we pursue every bit of FEMA money that we can. We have to go through your insurance first. So you've got to go through your and handle everything that insurance will handle, and then pursue FEMA after that. Each one of those projects has its own public assistance project identifier, and is looked at individually by FEMA. That's one of the big challenges I mentioned with fund balance is what happens if FEMA doesn't provide that at some point in the future. We have been very successful in retrieving or being reimbursed through FEMA because of just the documentation and the diligence in pursuing that. It is probably the most complicated effort we go through in dealing with the federal government, primarily because our FEMA liaisons, our reps that we're dealing with, can change post-storm 5, 6, 7 times. And there's a constant, well, how do we do it under this person? Last year was particularly complicated, as you may recall, when Hurricane Helene took out Asheville in the Western Carolinas. Their availability of resources for people to work with us here in Florida was limited, but we continue to pursue that. In some cases, it can take 2, 3, 4 years to get those dollars back. It is a lengthy process.
And does CJ drive that, or who
So
drives that?
Cindy Hudenpile, Cindy Stripling, who you may recall, has been with us for a number of years. She is our FEMA expert in managing that. We also, because of the changes within FEMA processes and the complications with that, brought on a consultant to help us with that this past year, to help track and make sure that all that documentation is in check. I kid you not, if one thing is out of check, it is discarded. And to go back, this is just a little throwback for everyone's benefit. 2004, we had Hurricane Charlie, Francis, and Jean, and your colleague, Tracy Mercer, was in charge of that effort for us in trying to manage how we got those dollars back. It has only become more complicated since then, but I will say that Cindy Stripling, Brandon as well, the rest of the finance team, they are as diligent as you can possibly be in trying to get those dollars back.
So today,
Can you make sure your mic's on?
We received an email from Cindy, and she had collected $393,000. And that is for Hurricane Ian.
Hurricane Ian.
Wow, that was a long time ago.
Right.
Yeah.
I can verify all of this. I'm still dealing with some for Dundee. And I can tell you, we've had one that has changed the representative 5 times since Ian.
It may be a benefit. I mean, I don't want to speculate on what the federal government does, but there's a lot of talk of if FEMA is done away with in its present format, that could become block grant funds that go to the states. The state of Florida is by far more equipped and more expert in dealing with natural disasters than anybody. And I know that Kevin Guthrie and the folks that are involved in that, the deployment of those resources, I have to believe, would be much more efficient and responsive to what our local needs are.
It goes back to CDBG funds, which is almost as bad.
Okay, I'm okay, Mr. Mayor.
All right, any more questions? All those in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by the same sign. Hearing none, the consent agenda is adopted. Resolution R 2546, would you read by title only, City Attorney?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Commission Resolution R-25-46, a resolution confirming the acceptance of a portion of the improvements, infrastructure, and dedications in favor of the public. City of Winter Haven has notated on that certain plat entitled Willowbrook South, recorded in the office of the Clerk of the Circuit Court in and for Polk County, Florida, in Plat Book 211, pages 6 through 14, Public Records of Polk County, Florida, and authorizing the city manager to partially release the performance bond posted to guarantee completion of required improvements in infrastructure and to accept a new performance bond to guarantee completion of all required improvements in infrastructure that remain uncompleted for this subdivision. General location, subdivision is generally located north of Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, south of the Lake Smart, Lake Fanny Canal. Thank you.
Thank you. City Manager?
Honorable Mayor and Commissioners, on December 9th, 2024, the Commission approved Resolution R-2454, platting the Willowbrook South subdivision, which consists of 152 plus or minus acres and contains 234 building lots and 10 common lots. In accordance with the city's Unified Land Development Code, the developer submitted a performance bond in the amount of $4,315,750.45 to guarantee completion of all required infrastructure and improvements for the subdivision. While Willowbrook LLC platted Willowbrook South as a single-phase subdivision plat, they chose to break the installation of required infrastructure into 2 phases. This time, they have completed the required infrastructure for Phase 1 and are now seeking the city's acceptance of those improvements to be dedicated to the city and to modify the performance bond submitted as part of the subdivision plat approval process. Staff has confirmed that and performed inspections of these improvements and found them to be ready for acceptance. As work is incomplete for Phase 2, a modified performance bond in the amount of $3,132,415.76 has been submitted to ensure completion of the infrastructure. The developer expects to begin construction on the remaining phase following the acceptance of the improvements contained in Phase 1. This is an approval of a performance bond. It's not specific to anything within the strategic plan, but it does align with our economic sustainability and responsible government pillars. Staff recommends the Commission approve Resolution R-2546 and authorize the city manager or designee to take necessary actions related thereto. This is consistent with a similar action taken by the City Commission within the past few months on the Willowbrook North subdivision, as you may recall.
Thank you. Commissioners?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
motion to approve Resolution R-2546.
Thank you. I will close the commission meeting, open public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak to Resolution R-2546 may do so at this time. Seeing none, close the public hearing, reopen the city commission meeting. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by the same sign. Hearing none, Resolution R-2546 is adopted. All right, we have no ordinances, first reading, new business, item 15A, we will be having a public hearing on this. City Manager?
Thank you, sir. The Florida Commerce Rebuild Florida 23 and 24 Storms Infrastructure Repair Program is a state-administered program providing $400 million in funding to local governments for infrastructure repair and hardening projects impacted by the 2023 and 2024 storms. The program aims to help communities rebuild and enhance infrastructure to better withstand future disasters. City is all cities is able to apply for up to $100 million and intends to submit an application for resiliency improvements specifically at the city's wastewater treatment plant 3 facility. The application closing is September 29th, 2025, and is managed by Florida Commerce. There are no financial impacts associated with the submission of the Florida Commerce Rebuild Florida 23-24 Storm Infrastructure Repair Program. Staff recommends the commission approve the submission of the Florida Commerce Rebuild Florida 2023-2024 Storm Infrastructure Repair Program and authorize the city manager designee to take all actions related therefore. Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners. Yes.
Motion to approve the grant application 15A.
All right, thank you. I will close the commission meeting, open a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak to the Florida Commerce Infrastructure Repair Program grant application may do so at this time. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing, reopen the city commission meeting. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed by the same sign. Hearing none, the grant application is approved. Item 15B, Protecting Florida Together Alternative Water Supply Grant Application. City Manager?
Thank you, sir. The Florida Department of Environmental Protection, through the Protecting Florida Together program, promotes alternative water supply development through funding grants for projects like reclaimed water use, aquifer recharge, and water conservation. City is committed to the One Water Master Program and the future of the Sapphire Necklace, which will provide sustainability and resiliency of our future water resources. The Alternative Water Supply Transmission Loop project will continue to expand the distribution of reclaimed water, creating an interconnected 30-mile loop around the utility service area. This particular grant will support the installation of approximately 4.38 miles of new reclaimed transmission main. That main will run along the east end of Thompson Nursery Road, go through the future preserve at Lake Ashton Development Project, and connect to Cypress Gardens Boulevard. The city is requesting $3,907,800 in grant funding for the project, which anticipates a total cost of $8,684,000. Application closing for this grant is September 19th, 2025, and this is a program that will be managed by DEP. If the city is awarded the grant funding, the matching funds in the amount of $4,776,200 will be through sewer connection fees and reuse payment in lieu of fees in fiscal years 26 to fiscal year 28. Staff recommends the commission approve the submission of the Protecting Florida Together Alternative Water Supply Grant application and authorize city manager or designee to take all necessary actions required for the application process. Just one additional point on this one, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, when we bring forward a CIP for the utility department, we have lofty goals internally of what we might be able to acquire within grant funds. We budget very conservatively for grant funds, realistically in about the 5% range, although our aspirations are closer to 40 or 50%. And I just want to publicly comment Gary Hubbard and the team at Winter Haven Water for being very aggressive, working with our consultants to identify appropriate grants and pursuing those in this fashion. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
motion to approve 15B, Protecting Florida Together Alternative Water Supply Grant application and public hearing.
All right, thank you. I will close the commission meeting, open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak to this item may do so at this time. Seeing none, close the public hearing, reopen the commission meeting. Is there any discussion, questions? All those in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by the same sign. Hearing none, The Protecting Florida Together Alternative Water Supply Grant application is approved. Item 15C, City Manager.
This is the interlocal agreement for the collection of Polk County impact fees. So in order to maintain compliance with the transportation impact fee requirements and the fee collection requirements of Florida statutes, the interlocal agreement between the city and Polk County governing the collection of Polk County impact fees by the city must be amended. Specifically, the IA or interlocal agreement has been terminated by the county effective October 1st, and a new interlocal agreement must be effective on or before that date. The proposed interlocal agreement provides for, among other things, the city to collect all required county impact fees prior to the issuance of a building permit, the distribution of those county impact fees collected to the county, the collection of administrative fees, which are actual costs incurred by the city in the collection of the county's impact fees, and transportation capacity impacts coordination. Staff recommends the City Commission approve the interlocal agreement and authorize the mayor and other city officials to execute same, and for the city manager or designee to take all necessary steps to ensure compliance with the terms of the interlocal agreement. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
motion to approve the interlocal agreement for collection of Polk County impact fees.
Thank you. I'll close the commission meeting, open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak to this item may do so at this time. Seeing none, close the public hearing, reopen the commission meeting. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed by the same sign. Hearing none. The interlocal agreement for collection of Polk County's impact fees is passed. All right. Commissioner liaison reports. Commissioner Dantzler.
Okay, not a whole lot to report on for me. I was, of course, with all of you at the Elbert Elementary ribbon cutting today. Good event there, and love to see what's going on out at Lake Elbert Elementary. Also, the legislative wrap-up yesterday. We had a good turnout. I was impressed with how many people showed up. And then last but not least, I had my final TDC meeting out at Camp Margaritaville last week. That was my swan song. I've been on the TDC for 12 years, and they turned me out, and it was nice. They had a nice plaque for me and some other stuff. So it's good. It was good. Bittersweet to say goodbye to everybody at the TDC, but I know Commissioner Yates is going to take my place, and he might end up being an arts maven if he doesn't watch out. But we might get him on sports, but he may end up being an arts guy. So you never know. We'll see. But that's it for me.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Mercer?
I attended the Chamber Legislative warm-up and also Lake Elbert. I know that Inman, the school down there is one of the other elementary schools that probably needs to be replaced. It's really small when you go in it. You don't really, when you look at it, it's still, the ceilings are real low, everything. So, and they said that's the way Elbert was before too. So, but they got a beautiful school and opportunities for lots of improvements in skills and everything else. So it's really great.
That's it?
And he's a graduate of it.
Yes, Commissioner Dawson.
Good evening. I had some of the similar opportunities as well. The legislative meeting was also very good. Also able to attend the planning board as well as the library board and ribbon cutting, of course, for Elbert. Exciting, very exciting. And a lot of us were excited about the new school, and it certainly appears to be a wonderful addition to the community. And I was impressed by our Mayor Pro Tem, full circle moment. That was really special for him to stand there and be able to have opportunity to share those words.
Pretty cool.
Sartoma, excuse me, football jamboree. A lot of kids, I'll tell you. Glad to see that really thriving, and I think it's really it's good to know that some things that have been mainstays in our community, and a new group have stepped up to take up the challenge and keeping that as viable as it has been in the past. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm also I'm just impressed with the entire staff, city manager, and CJ, for responsible government as relates to this budget, the way you've laid it out so wonderfully, and as transparent as we are as well. That's one thing that I believe is so important, that you make it simple enough where, citizens can in fact understand and appreciate what we're doing with their money. I will close by saying this, and this is just something that, I am who I am, but I will say this, all life is precious. And I think today, the assassination of Charlie Kirk was unsettling and so sad. And I couldn't help but, think about his family and his wife and children, and young man that had a lot to say about a lot of things, and put himself really in a position where he tried to, make a difference, and for his life to be cut short in such a horrible way. It's tragic to see that and to know that happened in America. And so I believe all of us tonight certainly will pray for Charlie's family, and remember him fondly for the contributions that he made to this country.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you. Just a few things wanted to talk about. And yes, I also attended the Winter Haven Youth Football League kickoff. Thanks to the Parks and Recs team. I mean, you guys did a phenomenal job out there. You can tell those kids are so appreciative for having the opportunity to play. And, not too long ago, I got a call from some of the administrators out there wanting to continue on with this league. And it was so close to things kind of falling apart and not moving forward. And appreciate, again, just staff working with them, putting things together, putting things in motion, because the last thing that should interrupt kids' sports is red tape. And staff was able to cut that, eliminate it, and really do some big things out there for those kids. So that's super special, and thank you for that. I, as mentioned, yes, attended the Elbert Elementary ribbon cutting. Yes, I graduated there a long time ago. Needed glasses, and I didn't pull them out midway through my comments today. So didn't need glasses back then, and I was a heck of a lot smaller. So that lunchroom cafeteria seemed a lot smaller today than it did 30 years ago or more. After that, first I would say, if you get a chance to go and tour that facility, do it, but make sure you go up into the library, into the lab up there. You can see Bach Tower through the corner window. I mean, it's an absolute stunning view. It's got to be one of the best views in any Polk County school.
Really? What about that music room? Did you go to the music room?
I did. They started banging
Drums.
the war chant on the drums
That music
when I
room-
walked
that
in.
room, music room's big as this room.
And we started doing the tomahawk chop in there, on those drums. And those kids really had it going on. So thank you for that reminder and that opening. But encourage you to go up there and check out that view. It's pretty special. Lake Elbert Trail, I took the opportunity to kind of go around the orange cones after visiting Elbert today. And that place is special. Having grown up around Lake Elbert, and remember walking the whole lake and walking home from school back in the day when you could walk home from school, and having to walk in people's yards and getting yelled out from old guys saying, "What are you doing in my yard?" All I was doing was trying to be safe and get home. But kids are not going to have that problem anymore. They're going to have a safe place to walk. Our citizens and visitors to our community are going to have a place to exercise with just tremendous views. And maybe I'll even get out there to try to lose a couple pounds or more. So we've got that to look forward to. But thanks to all the hard work and staff that has gone into Lake Elbert Trail out there. Can't wait for that ribbon cutting. Also attended the Polk Vision annual meeting, attended the Chamber Legislative legislative warm-up. And that's a new one. Normally it is wrap-up. But to have the legislators come down, meet with us, give us a preview of what they're going to be seeing in October, that was different and that was appreciated. And hopefully get to do that again and again in future years. One thing I wanted to get a quick update on was Willowbrook and the cart path. I know we kind of talked about that, and I was just kind of curious if we had been able to find any money or make any progress to repairing some of the really bad areas of cart path out there. The pictures are phenomenal. The updates are phenomenal that Willowbrook's putting out.
Good evening. The project's going very well. We are in the process. I think when we brought that to you 2.5 months ago, we had talked about that we were looking for opportunities for cost savings and contingencies, and that has gone very well. We're finalizing some of those items and really seeing where our cost savings are, and that is on our list that we're currently evaluating. So we're hoping to hit some of the we're actually able to do some of the drainage items. We were able to move forward with some of the drainage items, and we are looking at prioritizing some of the remainder of those projects, and some cart paths are on that, but we can update you probably in about another 2 to 3 weeks on exactly how that's panning out.
Fantastic. Thank you. And opening is sometime in November.
We're
still
shooting for mid-November. Yes.
Okay. Cool. Thank you. That's all.
All right. I'd like to start off by saying to T. Michaels and the staff, CJ, I've sat through numerous
23.
city budget sessions,
23.
going all the way back to a suggestion of zero-based budgeting, starting all over again. We have gone through some things, and I have to truthfully say, this has been the most informative, the less stressful budget session and presentation that I have ever experienced in those 23 years.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That means
So I
the
just
world.
wanted you all to know, and I wanted to publicly say it so that y'all know, because I was a little skeptical along the way. I have to say that because I was. But I want you to know you all have done an outstanding job. Now to you, Mayor Pro Tem, you didn't officially thank me for letting you be able to in Elbert today. I knew it would be special for you, and so I am so pleased. You sort of set the stage too.
I was hoping you were say I raised the bar.
You set the stage, raised the bar. You did it all. And then, were you in there when they did the tomahawk chop?
I was in there.
You see that? You see that? I mean,
Between that and Rocky Top, I didn't know about that. Hate Tennessee. FSU.
can you believe all in one day?
Next, it was Go Bulls.
I took a tour with a guy with a Georgia T-shirt. Oh my gosh!
But really, it was it's a fabulous school. I remember I had members of that school as well because my youngest son also went to that school. So, and I knew the assistant principal from way back, so I had little interactions there too. But it's a great school, and I'm so proud and pleased. And I also drove to look at the walking trail. And man, it's looking good. And I was so happy that the eastbound lane is still closed, but the westbound was open, so I could.
Well, no, you just can't do it.
No, it was open. Yes, the westbound. The westbound lane around the lake was open.
It said no through traffic, but.
Well, I wasn't going through. I was just going.
Open traffic. What does that mean?
I wasn't going through. I just went a little short ways, but man, I love it. And with the chamber, I've got to give you all kudos because what you did. Now I don't know if it was on purpose or if it was just by accident. You let our representatives speak and present long enough where you could only ask 2 questions before time ran out. I don't know if that was on purpose or if it just happened that way, but it really, I thoroughly enjoyed that too. And so hats off to you all. And it was a good breakfast. Attended and you forgot the TPO. We had the TPO. We had TPO. And so things are going good there. And I just want to say the Pope Vision annual presentation, I mean, that was really good. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed that too. And, to think back and with Colleen Burton, Senator Burton, who is now was one of the first directors there. And I was a part of that years ago, the whole formation and the meetings and all of the things to get Pope Vision. So it was sort of great to see that it has withstood the test of time, really, and has made a meaningful contribution to this county. That's all I have. City Attorney,
Nothing this evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor Commission.
City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple of things, if I may. First, I want to give a big shout out to the people over in the conference room. You have with you this evening Cohort 4 from from City U. They're raising hands over there. So there's about 25 or 30 folks that are going through that program. They had a little briefing on how a commission works before the session began this evening, and they have hung through it. So thank you. I'm going to do my best to get you out of here quicker than I did on your first session. But they are actively engaged in learning a lot about our city. I do want to extend my appreciation for your comments, Mr. Mayor, and more so even to the staff. CJ and her team, all the department directors do a phenomenal job putting this budget together. I'm glad it was stress-free for you. I think the finance team was ready to pull their hair out with all the things that we had to jump through, but it's a very responsible budget that is geared towards service to our citizens first, foremost, and as the absolute priority. I have been invited to travel to Tallahassee at the time of your next commission meeting to testify before the House Select Committee on Property Taxes. And we'll be doing so. And there's a travel training form that will come forward to you, but I just wanted to make that announcement ahead of time as my travel is required to be approved by the commission. So I'll bring that to you on the 22nd. Actually, Deputy City Manager will do so because that will be one of the days that I will need to be there.
Is this that committee that Josie was talking about?
That's it. This is exactly it.
Cool.
So
You
the
get to testify.
league is going to have time with them on the second day of their session, and have asked me if I would come speak on behalf of Florida City. So looking forward to that and sharing our story and hopefully swaying some votes. If it doesn't happen that way, please don't hold that against me. I'm only one person. And then the other thing is reminder, and this is for everyone that is with us this evening, tomorrow evening, we will have our Honoring Our Heroes special event here in Winter Haven. Tomorrow marks the anniversary of the tragic events of 9/11. We commemorate that every year with an event that takes place in Central and South Central Park. That program will begin promptly at 5:30 tomorrow evening with a honor walk that will go through downtown where we recognize and remember those that were taken from us on September 11th, followed by a short program that, if you have not seen, is a very moving program that involves law enforcement, first responders, paramedics, firefighters from throughout Polk County and beyond. So that is tomorrow evening beginning at 5:30, and we hope that you'll be able to join us. That's all. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, Deputy City Manager.
Nothing this evening, sir. Thank you.
City Clerk.
I do. As you already know, the city's regular election will be held on Tuesday, November 4th, 2025. Candidate qualifying for city commission is for seats number 4 and 5. And qualifying begins on Monday, September 15th at noon, ends Friday, September 19th at noon. And this information has already been posted in various city buildings and on the city's website. Candidate packets are available in our office, and we also have an electronic format. And lastly, I just want to wish City Attorney Murphy and Assistant to the City Manager AJ Nicholson an early happy birthday. That's all I have.
All right.
Thank you.
Deputy City Clerk. Emergency matters not received for the agenda. Motion to adjourn. We stand adjourned.